All right, module 3 for this is what the SILD 2022. I am tired, just saying. But number 5, the following extracts relate to the to international relations, justice, peace, and reconciliation. Study the extracts, then answer parts A to D that follow. Document 1. The choice between us is one of two divergent courses, either that of integration, which would in the long run amount to national suicide with the part on the part of the whites, or that of apartheid, which professes to preserve the identity and safeguard the future of every race, with complete scope for everyone to develop within its own sphere while maintaining its distinct national character in such a way that there will be no encroachment on the rights of others and without a sense of being frustrated by the existence of and development of others. D.W. Kruger, right? So this would have been edited here. So what's happening here? So South African parties and policies. What is this talking about? Yeah, man, 2022 did difficult. That's all I'm gonna say. 2022 did have
I'm reading
something.
this over because, hey,
Look here, this year paper should be a little bit easier because
it
2022 was
better be
something. Alright, get that we don't know. But only time can tell.
that.
Why would I say that? I don't know. The paper done did right from year like months ago, so it's good. They know what's coming, Just imagine the person who's write the paper sit down laughing right now, getting off the piece soup, knowing so we're not gonna sit the paper tomorrow.
Just a wait for the little leak, man. Not too late.
Um, I refrain, alright, from commenting on that. Alright, so let's see what's happening here for this question. Document 1, well, with reference to document 1, state 3 reasons for a decision by South African government to formally institute the system which became known as apartheid. What were the
Because of
reasons?
racism.
Repeat?
Because of racism. They were racist.
Okay, so racist, what else?
Oh, that's one?
And what else? Right? It was a racist ideology, right? What else they were saying? Remember, the whites are minority, right?
Yes.
So they were saying that the integration here, right, which would in the long run amount to national suicide on the part of the whites. So they wanted to preserve white supremacy and white culture. That's why they started to give what was the act called when they segregated them into different townships?
The group air stuff.
The Group Areas Act, right? So they're talking about the Group Areas Act right here. To
Um,
separate them, to preserve, they were under the guise, put it in air quotes, to preserve the identity and safeguard future of whatever foolishness that means, right? It means to prolong white supremacy within South Africa. That's what they're doing. Just say.
okay.
They're pretty it up, but okay.
A second one, I remember
Mm-hmm.
when my teacher was teaching us at the National Party, basically justified apartheid by saying that the whites had the greater knowledge when it came on to like governing as well as being able to rule. As basically that's a justification of apartheid, being that they better understand how to rule the place.
Mm-hmm. So white people were superior, right, in the matters of state and government, right?
Yes.
And therefore, they should be the government. All right. Okay. So looking at stuff like that, and it's a 6 mark question, so it shouldn't be a lot. You guys should be able to find information there. Document with reference document 1 discuss 3 ways in which legislation was used to implement the system of apartheid. Okay, I know you guys know how to go off on that one. So give me some policies. That I also put in a YouTube video before, just saying. Please watch. Right, but some
Just if
policies. Go ahead.
policies that we know.
The laws, yes, the legislation. Remember, I
Oh,
told you, that the Group Areas Act is mentioned in documents now. So that's a reference to document one. But are there any other policies?
the Immorality Act,
The Immorality Act, which spoke to.
where they were basically saying that intercourse between the two races was forbidden.
Well, between any other race and whites for some.
Yeah, so like they were saying, oh, it prohibits any acts of like indecency and things like that. So like if you were kissing or petting or hugging and things like that, you could be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Immorality Act?
Yeah, I heard that there were three of them. I heard that there was one in. Do you have to put there? Because I know that there was one in 1927, there was another one in 1950, and there was another one in 1957. So yeah, it's all over the place. There were like three of them, so I don't really know. Yeah, there were like three immorality acts.
Okay.
There's a Mixed Marriage Act as well.
Yeah, the Mixed Marriage Act.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Mixed Marriage Act is often mixed with the Immorality Acts. Immorality. Why can't I speak? Immorality Acts. Yeah.
There was also the Population Registration Act.
Which is the passes, right?
Yes. No, I think it was a separate. Separate one.
It is separate. Wonderful.
The Population Registration Act was when they categorized the South Africans according to their racial group, and the one you talk about the passes was the enactment of the pass laws, which was basically when they implemented the dumb pass. Yeah, and basically carried them around. So I would kind of, if you were to like use it, you would link the Population Registration Act and the enactment of pass laws because they kind of work together.
Yeah. If you're writing an essay or anything like that, you could mention the pencil test. Like, I don't know why. Okay, sure. The pencil test was used in the Population Registration Act to determine whether or not you're black. But okay, sure. As if black people can't have straight hair. But fine. You guys know what the pencil test is, right?
No.
Where they put a pencil into your hair, and if it stays, they consider you black.
Oh, they did.
Oh yeah, and a lady got separated from her family for the rest of her life.
That is crazy.
You guys didn't watch Mandela Long Road to Freedom? I watched that movie to study all of this. I didn't read any notes on this topic.
Are you telling me this now?
Just watch a movie.
When?
Yeah. The moving along.
Someone has sleep tonight. Okay.
No, you can't. It explains everything that Steve Biko, Winnie Mandela, Nelson Mandela. It went through all of those stuff, and it shows everything. It shows the Soweto youth. It shows Sharpeville. It shows the imprisonment. It shows the negotiations. It shows what the president was doing.
Yes, I can't name before exam I get to about this.
Me never know, so
I'm very much upset, honestly.
We never know, so we never know the movie.
My teacher let me watch something, but I'm not sure if it's it.
It probably it.
If you never said it.
Lol. And it's the way how Dunkirk explained the whole of World War One. But okay, but okay, movies. That's what I'm saying. Like, movies really helps everything. You guys watch History Explained on YouTube. You guys can go through that as well. But I don't think they did apartheid. But yeah. But Dunkirk and those type of things. And there's like this entire series of World War II in color that explains all of World War II and all the key events. But let's go through all of this first. I didn't know that you guys didn't watch not Mandela Long Road to Freedom. Like, that's the entire syllabus for apartheid. Let's see here now. With reference to document 1, discuss 3 ways in which legislation was used to implement the system of apartheid in South Africa. Oh, we did that a while ago? Wow, I'm really sleepy. With reference to document 2, let's read document 2 first. My department's policy is that education should stand with both feet in the reserves and have its roots in the spirit and being of Bantu society. The Bantu must be guided to serve his own community in all respects, but is no place for him in the European community. Catch the racism. Okay. Above the level of certain forms of labor, not the menial labor, it's giving handyman. Within his community, however, all doors are open. For that reason, it is to no avail for him to receive a training which has as its own aim absorption in the European community where he cannot be absorbed.
Oh my gosh, not the author, not the what him called? The ver what's he again? I remember his name. Nope, I never Hendrik.
Yeah, man. Kind of one thing. It's giving blatant racism, but okay.
Yes.
That's how I was asking. You spoke about a different Bantu act other than education. So I'm saying that it sounds like they were hand in hand as Bantu acts, right?
Yeah,
Both of them.
Bantu acts. You had the Bantu education, you had Bantu self-government, and you had the Bantu building workers. There were 3 different Bantu acts.
So the different Bantu acts. What's happening, is after they implemented a law and saw that they were like loopholes, they just started to implement more and more and more. So that's why it became a really restringent apartheid system. Alright, so the question is outline 3 features of the Bantu Education Act which suggested that black South Africans were inferior to white South Africans. 3 things that looked at the inferiority.
I did not go over the features, but based on this racist statement, I can look at the line where it was basically saying the man must be guided to serve his community. Maybe that could
This may look fun, This may look fun. That may look fun. Guided to serve his own community as well in all. Well, that is actually like a type of the guided to serve his own community. That is like a type of like justification in a sense. Right, so if you look at it like that, for that reason, to no avail for him to receive training which will European community where he cannot be absorbed. So they're saying that the skills, right, that they would have been learning through natural education, right, cannot be used in black communities. Well, I don't know. Is it because they're inferior? Probably. Right, they're saying that. Repeat?
It's because they're black.
Well, among other things.
That's what there's.
Yeah. So it's a part of that. So find 1 so far. 2. Anything else we can't find? There's no place for him in the European community above the level of. Yeah, we saw that. Well, I guess in the European community could be one thing there. I don't know if you want to link it to the roots and spirit of being Bantu and being of the Bantu society, saying that the Bantu society is lesser overall. Therefore, they should receive this type of education as, whatever.
Wait, what were the features of the Bantu?
Oh, somebody. Well, I explained it in a video. But okay. Bantu education. Alright. But what were the features?
I'm asking you, Mr. Made a video.
But you're the student of history.
Well, the student was not taught that, therefore the teacher who made a video on it shall explain it.
I am but a student who did history in it 3 years
but
ago.
But for a student who made a video on this.
Alright, segregation was the first point. So segregation, we could speak about segregation, right? So school segregation. Black students receive distinctively separate education. You know that the United States seems pretty apartheid.
Can you go back down to the question?
Alright, that's a question down here. Look at the features of the Bantu Education Act, which suggested that South Africans were inferior. So looking at segregation, right, the black schools, right, so, it's based on that. So the segregation extended physical infrastructure, resources, and quality of education were distinctly different within white schools versus black schools, right? But I don't think we're seeing that specifically within the document. We can't reference it, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it, all right? Inferiority was a thing as well. The Bantu Education Act was designed to provide inferior education to black students, right? The curriculum was was limited to basic skills and manual labor and menial jobs, right? As we could state or reference in document 2. Right, so it's all about that. So it was that type of, it was a, like a, I think it was a part of a broader strategy in a sense to limit educational opportunities for all Black South Africans and preserve white dominance. Another thing I guess could be the curriculum. The curriculum of the Bantu Education Act was, I think, was biased and promoted the ideology of apartheid, right? So they taught only white culture and white history and white languages such as Afrikaans. Remember, they were forced to speak Afrikaans in school, right? So Afrikaans, right? And they whitewashed African history and all sorts of things. Just saying, why is our history syllabus filled with more European content? I'm not gonna talk about that. It seems very apartheid to me in the Caribbean right now.
Thank you.
Yes, but let's move on, because if I mention Dahomey and Oyo, people don't know what me I talk about, yet they do history. Oh, that makes sense. All right, but let's look at this. That will be a part of it, right? So languages, history, and those type of things were suppressed and whitewashed. Then we have, I think it was underfunding. I think the underfunding will go into like the segregation of schools, right? So they were shortage of learning materials and stuff like that, and poorly trained teachers, etc., etc. I think you'd also have probably political. There could be a political issue, right? So the Bantu Education Act, we know it was aimed to control and manipulate the minds of Black students, right? In order to ensure loyalty to the apartheid regime. So they were teaching them. Their teaching material were censored and controlled by the government and suppress any content that challenges the apartheid regime. It's giving France. It's giving 1700 francs, right? So it's something like that before Enlightenment. Limited career prospects as well would have been an aspect of it, because, you know, since they only got education in menial labor and stuff like that, they couldn't work in a lot of industries and sectors that was designated as white, as stated by document 2. But you guys understand? You guys are following with the features? I gave like a lot of features, but yeah. You could guess. You could choose the features, right? That we could look at, that could speak to module. It's not module, document 2, right? Sorry about that. I think we can look at the last one now. With reference, I can't. Every single time let me scroll up because I'm gonna answer the reparations. That question there. Okay. With reference to document 2, discuss 3 methods employed by Black South Africans in rejection of the views that there is no place for them in the European community above the level of certain forms of labor.
Demonstrations.
Okay, demonstrations. Explain.
As in like protests.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that.
You don't remember what happened? Like me, remember what, you know, like me feel like the
Test after the Sharpville something like that is happening?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Sharpville have nothing to do with this. I'm so sorry. That's so offensive. I apologize. Right? The Soweto uprising.
Yes.
Yeah, not Sharpville, but the Soweto uprising. So students across, university students and teachers and parents across South Africa took to the streets to protest, right? And the South Africans said, this is not going to happen. This is not about to happen. Let's just shoot the blacks. Even though that's offensive. I'm sorry about that. But they killed a lot of persons. Alright? They shot man, woman, student, adults, right? In attempts to oppress. Well, not oppress, but it would be repress, right? The word is repress, to repress all of the protests and stuff like that. So there was huge activism. Student protest was the Soweto protest, right? Soweto uprising in 1976. Also, that's in the video. Just say. Okay. Right. So we also had teacher resistance, right? So teachers started to refuse teaching different types of materials, right, under the Bantu Education Act, right? So some of them started to teach other types of stuff within classes, right, in order to diversify education within Bantu, within schools that were, put up by the Bantu Education Act, right? You also have the political organizations like the ANC and the PAC. What does ANC stand for?
Yo, the name something just gone out of my head.
ANC.
African
Yes.
National
Mm-hmm.
Congress.
Wonderful. Right, and the PAC.
Pan
You know it. Come on.
African.
Pan Africanist Congress, right?
Okay, I'm for the East.
Yeah, and then you also have the SASO, which is the South African Students Organization. So all of them generally oppose the Bantu Education Act and apartheid as a whole, right? And these organizations worked to raise awareness, right? So we spoke about that as well. You also can speak about international pressure against the Bantu Education Act, right? So you could speak about international governments played a huge role, right? And they condemned the discriminatory policies of apartheid within the Education Act and supported the struggle for equal education, right, rights within South Africa. There were also legal challenges. Remember the legal arm of the ANC? Who spearheaded the legal arm of the ANC? Who was it?
Mandela?
No. Even though he was a lawyer, no. No. That's not the answer. So let me give you people to choose from then. There's Mandela, there's Winnie, there's Steve Biko, Walter Sisulu, or I guess Desmond Tutu. Which one? I'll leave you guys to figure that one out. But go ahead.
Was it Steve?
Steve did do him things too. Yeah. I think it was Steve.
I think it was Steve a lawyer.
I thought it was Desmond.
Desmond was an archbishop.
I think it was Steve. Was it Steve the lawyer?
Steve and Mandela were lawyers, right? I think it was that.
If he's not, it's Steve.
Yeah, it must be Steve, the other lawyer. Steve Biko was like that. I think Walter Sisulu was different. What did Walter Sisulu do again?
Walter Sisulu?
Sisulu. Walter Max Uliate Sisulu. Alright? But I made a video on that though, so yeah. Yo, I can't bother with this right now.
Mention a video one more time.
But there were legal challenges. Lawyers and human rights. Go ahead. Repeat?
No, I was saying my office share your page by the end of the meeting here every second.
As I should. Thank you. But okay. So the legal challenges were a part of it, right? So there were organizations, both legal organizations and I think human rights organizations that challenged the legality, right, of the Bantu Education Act generally through litigation and I think legal advocacy. So it was founded upon the black rights, right? So the rights of students to receive equal quality of education and stuff like that. And they argued that it violated basic human rights and international law. So those are some of the oppositions, right, to the Bantu Education Act, right? So we could speak about that. So the one methods employed by the rejection of it. So I think the strongest ones could probably be the Soweto youth. You have to mention that, and that would be a part of your resistance, your activism, as you were saying, the protest and activism. International response and legal challenges. I think those three things would be wonderful for that answer. Can't get your 9 marks outside, man. Should be fine. And that's it. Because
reparations question.
Okay, reparations, sure. Discuss the view that reparations by the British government to Caribbean countries is necessary for the further development of Caribbean. I don't believe so at all. Wait, hold on. I think this question actually sparks something. Because what is this right here? I don't think it's necessary at all. This is a question that asks you to discuss your view. That means that you must, discuss both sides clearly and then state your opinion in the conclusion. And my opinion is absolutely not. What is your opinion?
Absolutely not what? That you don't believe we deserve reparations?
No, I don't think. It's not that we don't believe it's not that, right? I'm saying I don't believe that it is necessary. They're saying that it is necessary
I,
to
yes, I
further
have.
Caribbean development. I don't believe so. I think we deserve it, but it is not necessary for Caribbean economies to develop. Our economies
Why
can and have been developing without it. So I don't think it can, but I think we deserve it.
have we been developing at a steady rate? Look at the
The
state of our.
reason why most Caribbean economies have not been developing is because of political, whatever it may be. And because this is recording, I'm not going to say anything further about that. Right? But the political challenges of Caribbean countries have made them a laughing stock, right? To some extent, right? But
Exactly. For example, look at Jamaica where we took our money to go and build a sign. Was that
okay, so mm, mm, let's just calm down. Calm down. Alright, let's calm down with that. Not the sign. But
Could
yeah.
we use like, all right? So you're saying that we can say both sides, and then we give our opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
So could
Mm-hmm.
one of the points be that it isn't necessary, though it is deserved, it isn't necessary because some countries have an abundance of natural resources.
Mm-hmm. You could speak about natural resources. Okay, so you remember you guys do Caribbean studies?
Yes, I did it.
Yeah.
Okay. So like we remember the factor that, Caribbean countries were basically raped of their resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning towards it's necessary, but I don't think it's it's necessary. Um, but yeah, they have a lot of resources, but our ability to use them have been somewhat what you would say, tampered with because of enslavement and colonialism. Right. And okay, the thing is now, I think that there is a chance that Caribbean countries can further develop and gain great economies, I guess, right? But reparations would help a lot, if you could say. So reparations by the British government specifically to Caribbean countries is necessary for the further development of Caribbean economies. Um I think we just stated what. Okay, I heard the first point that you just stated a while ago. Are there any other points? You could state whether or not you're for or against, or the point specifically is for or against. If you're gonna state a point.
So if I'm going for that it's necessary, I could say the fact that they introduce a lot of diseases to these Caribbean countries.
Okay, so that would have halted progress in the Caribbean countries becoming
Yes.
developed. Okay. Anything else? Cause these are just points, so you'd have to like build an entire paragraph around the point. So anything else?
I think well, what would I say? I think one of the points under the CARICOM 10-point plan was basically talking about like literacy, like eradic what word again? Eradication. Is that the word?
Yeah, eradication of illiteracy.
Yes, where basically like the history of it is when it is based saying that about 70% of blacks that were in the British colonies were illiterate in like in 1960. Basically 70% of the blacks were illiterate, and in that sense the CARICOM is basically saying that European governments should aid in like educational sectors and so forth. So I guess I would kind of I really know I really don't know how I'd answer this question if I would agree to an extent or argue to an extent.
Okay. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. What was another policy under the CARICOM's plan? Was it the technology one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
the
think
one.
that would be a huge thing here because if there's one thing about the Caribbean, technology is an issue. So apartheid within that respect of technological advancement would have been one of the like a major thing for it.
Another one was like the debt cancellation, where as the song said, debt cancellation, because it's saying that even to this day, Caribbean like societies or economies are still plagued by the effects of like the debts that they have, like, on them. So one of the points under the 10-point plan was debt cancellation, which in a sense I could see how that would benefit the economy.
Okay. I am not a reparations person, so I remember the CARICOM Act. Well, not acts, but their points, right? And I remember the reasons for reparation and the types of reparation that we wanted and the types of reparation that we got. So I think that's enough for me to understand it. But I avoid reparation like the plague. Any other thing to state here? I think reparations would greatly boost the Caribbean economies, and it is something that is well deserved through all of the different levels of exploitation for almost 4 centuries, right? So I think it is something that is really deserved for Caribbean economies. But Caribbean economies, even though it has been greatly handicapped by years, by centuries of exploitation by Britain, right? It is for some of the Caribbean countries, it is not only Britain that should take account for it, and I believe that the reparations that can be afforded to the Caribbean countries would be somewhat insignificant, right? To play a role towards developing Caribbean countries and the state of Caribbean countries at this point with the political atmosphere would lead to generous, and I mean generous misuse of funds. So I'm not sure whether or not it will boost Caribbean economies, but okay.
Oh, did you go through like the arguments against reparations by the Europeans? I think it was at the conference. I don't remember where. Like I saw a question again, like a passport question, where they were asking like the reasons opposing and supporting reparations. So that might come again if they were to give.
Oh, reasons against reparations.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I don't have anything on that. I don't have anything on that. I think reparations that like notes are scarce though. So, um, hmm, do I have a paper on it? Do I have a wait? Didn't I? I don't think I have a document on it. I probably have to check off thumb drive real quick. But I don't know. But remember, it's gonna be historical distance, right? I think historical, like the distance in people that live then versus people that live now. That would be a huge thing. Is it practical? Is it equitable? Those are the things that we're talking about when we're talking about the restrictions here. Is it
Wait,
that we
repeat
have
that.
to? Is it that I have to do an entire like um discussion of it?
Yeah.
Right. Look, I'm gonna get myself in a problem. Okay. so so let's speak about this. The arguments, right, against and for. So I don't know. Should I separate the recording and just do against and for?
You can, since it's not on this paper.
All right. So I guess this will be probably the end of this, and then we continue with the other one.